Hello everyone and welcome to the Well of Curiosity. There are an increasing number of organisations around the world that have built up an obsession with getting their technology and people into outer space. Currently their aim is to get their things into an orbit around the Earth, but in the near future their focus may change by returning astronauts to the Moon and even sending the first human beings to Mars. The idea of colonising the red planet has been around for decades. Now, the idea of leaving our world and journeying to explore an entirely new one may appeal to a great deal of you. However, there will be plenty of obstacles in your way designed to make your trip as miserable as possible. Here are 10 reasons why your body won't thank you for your decision to journey to Mars. Reason 1. Radiation. Radiation has always been a concern when it comes to space travel. Outer space is full of speeding, energetic particles known as cosmic rays. On Earth, we are protected from these rays by our atmosphere and electromagnetic field. However, when you pass beyond Earth's protective shield, you will encounter plenty of them. It isn't necessarily disastrous though. Scientists have worked out the level of radiation that will likely be experienced on the way to Mars by looking at the radiation monitors from the Mars rover missions. Fortunately, it will be well within the health and safety limits for an astronaut currently set out by space agencies. When you land on Mars though, you would continue to receive a higher than normal dose of radiation, thanks to Mars's thin atmosphere and lack of magnetic field. Studies are starting to show the long-term effects on the Apollo astronauts, who are suffering high levels of heart disease, possibly due to damage caused by the radiation levels of space. Bad timing could also play its part. If the sun is in an active phase, it could unleash huge gobbets of radiation known as coronal mass ejections, causing a dramatic spike in radiation levels. Space engineers are taking cosmic radiation seriously by equipping spacecraft with radiation shielding and even dedicated radiation shelters in the form of giant hollow water tanks, which would be especially useful during events like coronal mass ejections, where the water would absorb the high dose of radiation and protect the astronauts inside. Reason 2. Boredom and isolation. The physical challenge of radiation is nothing compared to the mental concerns of boredom and isolation. This may not seem like much to worry about, but a journey to Mars will likely take between 6 to 8 months. That's 6 to 8 months of living in the same small space without being able to leave. Life would quickly get extremely repetitive, with the same mind-numbing maintenance tasks required to be completed day in and day out. The food would be boring, washing would be difficult. It wouldn't be a great life. Communication over the increasing distance as you fly away from Earth would get more and more difficult, meaning that you would just have your crewmates for company. Psychologists have studied what might happen on a journey to Mars by confining groups of people together for extended periods of time. These studies have shown that people have tendencies to form cliques that put the well-being of themselves above that of other groups, which has the potential to jeopardise the entire mission. Even the most well-trained astronauts can react badly to the pressures of living in space. Reason 3. Mental health disorders. It's possible that the mental stresses of lonely, repetitive life in space could cause a range of adverse psychological effects in humans, including depression, anxiety, and, in extreme cases, psychosis. Space agencies have recognised this danger and have taken steps already to help combat these effects. For example, NASA has provided a range of medication that includes antidepressants, antipsychotics, and anxiolytics for the crew of the International Space Station. But it may not all be that bad. Some studies have shown that space travel can actually be beneficial to astronauts' mental health and well-being. Having to adapt to the harsh environment of space can strengthen the bonds between astronauts in the face of almost constant danger, similar to the teams of polar stations or the crews of submarines. So space may not be so bad for your mind after all, although only time will tell. Reason 4. Space flu. Yes, this is actually a real thing. Your body is not built to cope with the microgravity conditions of space. Your heart, for example, is used to pumping against the effects of gravity. So on your way to Mars, blood and other bodily fluids will build up in your upper body. The result of this will be a puffy face, headaches, and nasal congestion. Your diaphragm, a thin muscle at the base of your chest, will float upwards to make breathing a little more difficult. And finally, your back will start to ache as the lack of gravity causes your spine to decompress and your vertebrae to float apart. But on the plus side, you will gain a couple of inches in height, so it's not all bad. Reason 5. Space sickness. A little different from space flu, space sickness is nausea and disorientation that is felt by many astronauts. NASA officially uses the term space adaptation syndrome instead of space sickness, although I definitely prefer the latter. It more closely describes the problem because it is an issue of the astronauts struggling to adapt to weightlessness in space. The cause of space sickness is still not fully understood, but recent experiments show that space sickness is related to our inner ear. Two separate parts of the inner ear respond to rotation and sudden changes in direction. If you shake or move your head very quickly, you can get dizzy, and some people may even feel sick. However, this normally passes very quickly. This normal response is upset under low gravity. Your inner ear thinks you are constantly moving. It takes some time to adapt to the new condition of weightlessness, which is made worse if you move your head while your body is still adapting. Around half of all astronauts experience space sickness, so be prepared to vomit, suffer headaches and dizziness, and generally want to lie down. Except there is no down in space, which, as it happens, will also add to your general confusion and disorientation. So good luck with that. Reason 6. Muscle loss. The effects of microgravity continue to extract its toll on your body, this time focusing on your muscles. The lack of gravity means that your muscles do not have to work as hard to move your body around, and will therefore start to lose mass. This is a process called atrophy. Studies have shown that astronauts can lose a staggering 20% of their muscle mass in space flights that last just 5 to 11 days. So just imagine what a 6-month flight would do. Space agencies therefore recommend that their astronauts maintain a balanced, nutritious diet and at least 2 hours of exercise a day to help combat these effects. Reason 7. Bone loss. Similar to muscle loss due to atrophy, the lack of gravity will also cause a decrease in bone density. The skeleton is just simply not being worked hard enough, and the minerals in your bones will fizzle away, similar to the effects of osteoporosis. Research has shown that, on average, astronauts will lose 1 to 2% of their bone density every month. This is not so bad for short space flights, but poses real problems for our trip to Mars, as a rapidly deteriorating bone density means that bone breaks and fractures are far more likely. Reason 8. Body odour. Maybe not as hazardous as the others, but prepare to smell in space. Washing yourself is a lot more difficult in space, not only because showers are surprisingly gravity dependent, but because water is a very precious resource. Of course, you can't open a window to release any unpleasant smells, meaning that the smells of sweat and farts will accumulate, forcing the air filtration system to earn its keep. Bad smells are not just a nuisance by disrupting the focus of astronauts, they can provide a credible danger, preventing the astronauts from picking up more dangerous smells like fire or gas leaks. So some advances in spacecraft air fresheners are clearly required for future trips to Mars. Reason 9. Insomnia. Your sleep patterns are going to radically change. With all of the active machinery on a spacecraft, it will be very noisy all of the time, making falling asleep tricky. There is no pattern of light and dark to give your body the cues to fall asleep and wake up, so your body clock will be toast. Fatigue will leave you tired, disoriented and fuzzy-brained, as well as weakening your immune system. You will be open to all manner of viral and bacterial infections from your crewmates. To make matters worse, antivirals and antibiotics degrade after just a few months, meaning that you will have to make your own in your sleep-deprived, zombie-like state. Reason 10. Malformed cells. Finally, microgravity is back for one last go at disrupting your body, this time focusing on your body's cells, especially your blood cells, which may not grow and function properly in the long term due to the lack of gravity. We are not entirely sure of what the effects of this will be, but come on, it's unlikely to be good. These are just some of the reasons why a prolonged period of space travel would negatively impact your body, with plenty of others that I've not even mentioned. But if you're still prepared to face all of this and more to become the first interplanetary explorer, then I salute you and wish you the best of luck. If you have enjoyed this video, then please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you really liked it, and tell your family and friends. Space travel, yeah, it's pretty difficult.